My name is Louise Gallagher, and I'm here to welcome all of our continuing study students, OLLI at Ringling College, as well as Studio and Digital Arts, to our student Zoom instruction. Hopefully everything you need to know about Zoom, but we're afraid to ask. And the other presenter will be Gail Yaverbaum. I will be presenting for PC and Mac users. I will tell you that all of the features are the same, both on the PC and the Mac, as well as the iPad, but the location's a little different, and how you use it's a little different on the iPad. And so Gail is going to explain those differences when she's on in the second half of this. And so we're happy that you're here today. One of the reasons that we decided to do the video presentation was so that you would have the ability as students to start and stop the video as you need when you're going through and when you're learning this the first time. The video presentation will be on our website, olliringlingcollege.org. And the most important thing I want to tell all of you is I am not a techie person, but I will tell you that I have learned Zoom. It's my new best friend. I love it, and it's easy. And the most important message I can give all of you today is just don't panic. This is not rocket science, and it's an easy navigable program that I think you'll really like. And so we're going to familiarize you with Zoom today so that you're comfortable using it in your classes. We're going to review some of the features of Zoom, and especially for those of you who are first-time users of Zoom. And then we also have a little tool to help you organize your Zoom classes and meetings. So when you sign up for classes, what you're going to see is you'll probably get, I don't know if it'll look exactly like this, but something similar to this from our Continuing Studies Office or OLLI at Ringling College. And you'll see when you look at, and I'm going to bring my cursor over here. You probably can see my cursor. This first orange arrow here, basically it just has the information about the class you signed up for, the instructor, where the class is located, and then the start date of the class. And so you'll see all of that right here. Then the second orange arrow that you see is, again, it's very similar information, but it actually has the time of the class. But it's similar to location, and it has, again, the start and end date here, and then it'll be in the classroom and the instructor. And the last and important thing, although we're going to go over this again, is this is actually the red circled, where you see the blue writing here with a red thin arrow surrounded by orange. That's actually the link. And if you click on that link, it will take you right on to zoom.us and into the meeting, but we'll show you how you're going to actually get to that for the first time. So, and this is something we did this summer. Again, at the top, I want you to note that it says save this email. And that's really important. Once you sign up for a class and you get the information that you've been signed up and you're registered and they give you the information, and again, if you look at this orange arrow, you're going to see that link. You will not get this every week. It will be a one-time only email that you will get. And so you're going to have to either file or copy this email or keep it somewhere place, but we're going to help you with that. But you will only get one email about your class. So it's important that you star it, that you file it, or that you have a place where you can save that link so that it'll be your responsibility to get on every week when your class starts. The other thing is to just go down to the second orange arrow here, and that again is the website for our instructions for Zoom, and we also have some printed instructions, but these are and our video will be there as well. And then if you have questions and concerns, you'll see the blue arrow at the bottom. Here's our phone number, and here, if you need to email us, that's our email address for you as well. So this is actually something that Danielle Lacena, our business operations person, did for all of us. And this is a way for you to track your Zoom classes. And what you can do is you can just fill that in with the day, the time of the class, the title. And the most important thing is that Zoom link, so that if you take multiple classes or have multiple meetings, even other Zoom meetings, not just lifelong learning and studio and digital arts, and you can use this for other things as well, but you will have to keep that in a file somewhere on your computer. So but it's a nice handy feature. That's the way we're recommending that you organize it, but you may have your own, you could put them in a file in your emails so that you can just access your meetings that way as well. So that's really up to you, but hopefully this will be something that can help you. And so how do you get onto Zoom? Well, one of the things we said initially, and again, we're going to look at this first orange arrow here, is you can just click on this link. And that link will take you to zoom.us. Another way you can get on is looking at this blue arrow. You can actually go to Zoom, ZOOM.us, and you can put in this meeting ID number, 924-218-2069, and you can use that as well. So that's another option for getting onto Zoom. And lastly, if you're on a phone and you want to get on that way, you can actually dial in. Here's a New York number, for example, that you could dial in, but any of those numbers will get you onto Zoom from your phone. Okay, so now this is for first-time users. So the next 5 screens are actually going to be first-time users. And if you look up here at the top of the screen, it says first time. So you'll probably see that when you use it for the first time. And it says here you will need an app to open this Zoom. And then where the first blue arrow is here, you want to make sure you check that box so that that you don't have to keep downloading the app each time you go on. So you just want to check that box. And again, this will only be the first time you use it on your particular device. Now, if you use it on different devices, you may have to do it again on those other devices. But if you're using the same device each week, that should work out fine. And again, where the orange arrow is, you want to click on OK, and that will take you to the next screen. So, and what you're going to see when you load on is you're going to see this box, and it says that it's launching. And that means that everything's going along fine. You've gotten into Zoom, and you just really have to wait. If nothing happens after a minute or so, you may have to do where this orange arrow is. It says download and run Zoom, but really you just have to wait, and you may see a little spinning cue that says it's thinking or whatever, but just wait a minute or so and it should run and download and get you right into Zoom. Okay, and again, and this is for first-time users, what you're going to have to do is give your name, and that's the name for the class. And again, if you look up here at the blue arrow at the top, it says on that line, first-time users. Okay, and down here it says enter your name. Now that's a name you may want in your class. Sometimes you may use, for example, if my husband uses my computer, his name will be Louise Gallagher. So he'll have to say, change that name, but we'll get into that later. But this is the name that you're going to enter and use. And again, once you do that, it'll still come up the same way, I believe, for your future meetings. Because again, you're going to check this box here where it says, remember my name for future meetings. So you check that box. And then what you'll do, once you've entered your name, you've checked that box, you're going to go down here where the orange arrow is, and you're just going to click on join meeting. Okay, so moving right along here. And then again, this screen, and this is again, first time user, so it may be different if you're going back on, it's not your first time. It's going to say that it's downloading, and this is how much time it's taking, how much it has downloaded so far, and that your meeting will begin soon. If you see that screen, everything's just going along great. Do not worry, you are doing just fine. So just relax and continue on. So the next screen that you'll likely see before you get in is we want to be able to hear you. And so we want you to join with your computer audio. Now this will usually come up with even future meetings, I believe. And so that's so others can hear you. And so you wanna, again, see where this first orange arrow is on the left, you're gonna join with your computer audio. And then you can check this box down here where you see the other arrow, orange arrow on the left where it says automatically join audio by computer when joining a meeting. Just click that box, okay? And so this is what you'll see. You'll see that when you see this circle, and it'll be moving, in this case it's not because it's a stationary picture, but it'll be circling like that. If it's circling, everything's going along great, not to worry. Just let it do its thing and you're going to be fine. And that means that what I'm telling you is everything is going along smooth. There is no need when you see this screen to just do anything but be patient and wait. Okay. And then the next screen we're going to see is it'll say here when system dialog prompts allow, and that's to allow the page in Zoom to open up so you can actually get into your meeting. So where you see this orange arrow, make sure you click on allow when you see this screen and you see that allow, okay? So, and what will generally happen is we do have a waiting room feature for all of our classes, and the reason is that we need to make sure that everyone is registered for the class who's joining the class. And so this is just a sample. Now this says Dan Kurzman's Zoom meeting, and I was just taking a picture of this, but it'll usually be your instructor's name right here, Zoom meeting. And if you want, you can test your audio. I'll show you, the next screen is going to show you what comes up when you test your audio. But if you will be in the waiting room until you're admitted. Now, if they have not opened up the meeting or the class, you may have to wait. We generally like to open our classes 15 to 30 minutes prior to when the class begins. But if something, if it doesn't open maybe 15 minutes before, you may want to check and make sure everything's working. But generally there will be a waiting room, and this just comes up because you're waiting for the host, the person who's in charge, usually the instructor, to admit you into the class. And they just, and that's why we have you wait. It's also a security feature of Zoom to have the waiting room. And again, if you press test your audio just to see if it's working and make sure it's working, what's going to pop up is a screen with your audio settings, and it's going to look like this. And so again, and I'll show you the next screen because there's a way to test this. But you'll see down here at the bottom where I have the cursor for the first arrow on the left at the bottom, and you see a microphone and you'll see a video camera. And what you'll notice is that there's a red line through the microphone and also a red line through the video camera. What that means is that no one can hear you. In other words, you are muted. So whatever you say, nobody else can hear. And if the video is muted, if there's a red line through the video, nobody else will be able to see you in the class. And so if you just click on that, the video camera, the red line will come off and people will be able to see you. Or you click on the microphone with the red line. If you click on that, it'll turn on your microphone. And so, and the other way to get into the audio settings, which you'll see on the next screen, is to push this little, see where this orange arrow is, the second orange arrow on the left. You just push that and the screen will come up. And this is how you're going to test your microphone. So you saw when you were in the waiting room that you could actually test your microphone. And this is, again, the audio. And you could see that where the person is hearing from is her AirPods, I'm sorry. And so her speaker is on the AirPods, her microphone is on the AirPods. And if she speaks or is listening, you could see her volume here. And if she talks, you'll see lines coming up in here, okay? And so that's basically, if you push that arrow, it's going to bring this screen up. Or if you click on, when you were in the waiting room, test audio, that you will see this screen. So, and you don't really need to do anything. You just want to make sure that your audio is on and also that your volume is turned up so that you can hear and others can hear you. Okay, so this is actually, now this is for all of us. We're done, and the focus now is going to be to talk on actually the features of Zoom for the participants. So we're going to go through this very easily. There's some, there's first, if you look at the first arrow in the upper left corner, the orange arrow, you'll see a red dot, a yellow dot, and a green dot. And the only thing I'm going to tell you about that is that this green dot allows you to have the full screen on your computer. And so, and the other way to get the full screen on your computer, which means the whole screen will be your meeting, is to see this broken square here with the orange arrow on the right. That is actually to get into full screen. So there's two ways for you to get into a full screen, either with this broken box over here on your right, or over here with the green dot. You just click on that and you'll go into full screen. There's another feature on Zoom, and the nice thing about Zoom is there's things as a participant that you can actually do and control. And so you'll see right here where the blue arrow is at the top, you'll see some tiles right here. And you'll also see the words gallery view. Now this is maybe a little larger than what you'll see on your computer. If you click on that gallery view, you're going to get something that has speaker view. There's basically two views in Zoom, and one is a gallery view. And what that means is that everybody's picture that's in the meeting or in the class, it's all the same size. And whoever is speaking will, usually you'll see a green, lime green box around them so that it highlights them so that they know the one they're speaking. But if you click on this gallery view, then there's another view called speaker view. And what speaker view is that you'll have small tiles of everybody, but a large tile of the speaker. And for example, this one is actually speaker view I'm taking, although I'm taking up the whole part of the screen. And if there were other people in the meeting, in this one I only happen to be the only one, then you'd see other people up above or around that are have smaller tiles. But the speaker view, and so who's ever speaking, whether it's me or another student, they come front row center, big picture of them in the middle of the screen. So those are two views that you can have in Zoom. So if you're in like a lecture class where you want to hear and watch the instructor and what they're saying, you may want it on speaker view. But if it's a class where there's a lot of interaction and discussion, you may want it on gallery view so you can see everybody equally and who's speaking, and then see who else is in your class as well. So now there's a couple other features, and we'll go ahead and we'll go on the bottom bar again. Some of this will be review for you, but we're looking to the left at the first orange arrow at the bottom. And again, you'll see that icon, you'll see the microphone. Right now it says mute, but there's no red line through it, which means that your microphone is actually activated and it's working. Okay. If there was a red line through it, it means that other people can't hear you. Now you'll be able to still hear other people if their microphone isn't muted, but they won't be able to hear you. So that's a feature that you control. I will also tell you that your instructor or your co-host in the classroom also has control over your microphone, so they can mute everyone in the classroom. Sometimes it's easier if individual students mute themselves, but the instructor or the host or co-host does have the ability to mute everyone in the class and to unmute whoever they want, or but usually they'll tell you that in the classroom how they're going to do that, or if they want you to mute it, or if they'll mute it for you. And then looking at the blue arrow again to the left on the bottom here, you'll see the video. Now you see my name here in the center because I'm in the meeting. I happen to be the only one at this meeting. So what you'll see is you'll see a line through the video here. And what that means is nobody can see me right now. And so you just have my name in the screen. And so if I clicked on that video, the red line would go away, and then you would actually see an active picture of me in this window. Okay. So, and now let's look at the participants. Now, in this one, we have one participant because it was just me. I was the only one in the meeting at the time. And so it has, you'll see a picture of two people. By the way, here's a security icon. Don't worry about that. I will tell you that the Zoom program with Ringling College is highly encrypted for security and protection. So you do not have to worry about Zoom and taking classes with us. They're highly encrypted and very secure. So don't worry about that feature, the security feature right there. But let's look at the next orange arrow, which is the participants. Again, as I said, I'm the only one right now. You'll see the number 1 next to me. What you see next to the people is the number of participants in the room. And at this time, there was only me. And then you'll see participants. So that's what that icon means. Now, if you click on participants, what is going to come up is a window, and the window is going to be the window that you see to the right of your screen, and it says participants. Now it says 3, and that's because I actually cut and pasted this from another meeting, and you'll see the 3 participants in the classroom by name, and that's me. And if you click on yourself, what you'll see is you can mute or unmute yourself here, or you can do it down here with your microphone. And if you press more right here where you see the orange arrow at the top, you'll get 2 things, and you'll get rename or add a profile picture. We're not going to worry about adding a profile picture. Not going to be that fancy in our classes, but you can rename yourself. So as I was saying, if my husband was using my computer, my name would come up, and he and I don't have the same name or same sex. So what he would do is he would rename himself. And if you click on this box, then a box comes up with the name of the person. In this case, it's my computer, it'd be Louise Gallagher, and my husband would just change it to his name, David Klain. Okay, and then you'll also see the other participants, which is Gail and Courtney. And the next thing you'll see is you'll see a microphone next to their name, as well as a video. Okay, and if you see a red line through the audio or the video, it means that person is either muted if it's through the audio, or if it's through the video, it means their picture isn't up, and you'll see a blank screen and usually just their name. And the other thing that I will, well, I'll point it out on another screen because we'll see it, but let's go back to the bottom bar and move ourselves across. The next thing you'll see is the second blue arrow at the bottom says chat. And if you click on chat, you have the ability, and sometimes in classes, instructors will like you, they'll rather wait till the end or wait till they have a break for questions. And so you could actually click on this chat right down here, the chat icon, the little message box, and over here under your participant, a chat will come up, and you can either chat to the instructor individually or to another person in the class or whatever, but you can type in your chat or your questions, and usually instructors will talk about this and say, hold your questions or write them in the chat box. Sometimes if you're just getting on and struggling a little bit with your Zoom, the teacher assistant in the class, the co-host, may be able to help you by chatting, because they'll be watching the chat box and admitting the students. So that's also the ability. If you're having problems with something, your microphone or your video, then you could send a chat that way. But it'll come up over here on your participant list when you have a chat. And again, you'll see a down arrow, and then you'll see chat, and then it'll tell you there. The other thing I want to show you is at the bottom here. So I'm going to stick with that. So, and then the next thing is share screen. We're not going to talk about that. If you're like in the case that I'm doing today, I did share my screen so I could give this PowerPoint to you today. And we're not going to talk a lot about that because mostly you won't use that in classes, except sometimes in some of your classes, especially studio and digital arts, if you have made something or you're sharing something with your class, then the instructor will talk with you about how to share your screen, and that's a feature. But Only if you're allowed, if the instructor allows you to share the screen, can you share the screen. You just cannot share your screen as a participant. It has to be a feature that's enabled by your host, so who's ever running the show. The next thing is you'll see is a record button, which is, again, I didn't put an arrow there, but I do want to mention this. You will not be, and we will not be recording any of our continuing studies classes, our OLLI classes, or the studio and digital arts classes. That is a feature that Ringling College, it's up to Ringling College to record, but we will not be recording. And as a participant, you cannot record a class without the instructor's permission, but we will not be doing any recording. There's some legal issues about that. So but that's just something, you know, if you were in a meeting, for example, and you wanted to record it, you would press record, it would turn red, and you could record the meeting. Okay, so then let's go to the last orange arrow, which is reactions. And basically what that is you can have like a clapping of the hand, or you can have a wave feature on that. And it's something that you just may say hi to somebody by just waving the hand, you know, a virtual wave, or clapping of the hand if you like something somebody said or whatever. But what'll happen is when you click on that, it'll come up into your screen on your picture in your like gallery view. But it'll be your picture. So if I clapped or if I waved, it would come up into my picture, okay, because I'm the one that's doing it. Now, the last thing that you'll see, and in this one, because I was the host, it'll say end. So the host has control over when a meeting ends. But generally, you as a participant, or in this case, as a student taking a class, instead of the word end, you'll see the word leave. You're going to also see that on another screen a little later. And so, but because I'm the host, for the host, it'll always say end here, where that blue arrow is. But if you're in the class, it'll say leave. The other feature that I want to make mention of before we move to the next slide is the raise hand feature. Now, this is a feature that's really handy in the classroom. A lot of instructors may be using it. And if you click on raise the hand, and like, let's say the instructor asks a question or you have a question, you put the raise hand feature, you click on this raise hand feature. There's my cursor, the raise hand feature where this blue arrow is. And what will happen is your name will come up here. Your name will come up here, and there will be a raised hand, a blue hand right next to your name. So the host or the co-host, which is the teacher assistant, if there is one in the classroom, will see that somebody has a raised hand and either wants to make a comment or a question, but it's a nonverbal way to get the attention of the teacher assistant or the instructor because you want to add something or ask a question. And the other nice feature about raising your hand in a classroom is that the instructor will be able to see the order of who raised their hand first. Okay, so you may see other people's hands raised, but you may not necessarily see the order, but the host or the TA will be able to see the order of the hands raised. So the next screen, we're going to talk about the two views that you'll see. And again, just going back here to where you see the views, this is how the participant can control the views. So this is the screen of one of the views. And again, remember, and going up to this orange arrow at the top to the right of the screen, you'll see gallery view. Right now we're in speaker view, and I mentioned that before, and we have the speaker, who at the time was our famous Gail Yaverbaum, and then you'll see pictures with our names. Gail's name is down here, so everybody's always identified. My name is Louise Gallagher, Courtney Jones, and Gail were also here, but the speaker, who was Gail, this is the speaker view, she was in the front row center. And if we click that to gallery view, we would be all the same size tiles, and I'll show you that next. This is the other view. Now this is the gallery view that I spoke about, and you can see the individual tiles, and they're all the same size, and each person has their name in the corner, a picture of them. And the person that's speaking, you see the lime green frame around her. She was the one, Natasha, that was actually speaking. And so you'll see this green frame around her. So that is actually the gallery view. That's all equal tiles. So now you've learned about Zoom, and you'll be able to take the plunge. And for those of you that need to use, that are going to be using an iPad, Gail, you're going to hear from Gail Yaverbon next. And I just want to thank you for your time and attention with this video. Good luck. It's great. It's fun. You're going to have a great class with Zoom.
I'd like to welcome all the iPad users. And I'd like to tell you first that I am basically going to try to point out the differences that you'll find on an iPad from your laptop. And the first part of this video was designed to tell you some things about OLLI and to tell you some very basics. And I would recommend highly that if you're only going to the Zoom part of this video, that you go back and that you look at some of the introductory information. Going to the iPad, if you do not have the iPad app on your iPad, you will need to go to the Apple App Store, and there you can download Zoom Cloud Meetings. Once you do that, just like you do any other app, all you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to obtain a password. You just have to have it on your iPad in order for you to join meetings. So do not open it. It's not necessary. Once the app is available, you can join using the same procedure as signing into any Zoom room, and you will receive an email. This is something you may want to go back in this video and look at again, but otherwise, all you have to do is to tap on the meeting link that you have received from OLLI and join the computer audio, which you do in any case, as well as you should allow video. Typically then the instructor will admit you to your Zoom room, which is really your classroom. There is a waiting room feature, and that's why you typically will have to wait for the instructor to let you into the room, probably approximately 15 minutes before the class begins. The slideshow, this is just the features of go to the App Store and a reminder of how you start the app. The first slide here shows the iPad screen. And if you notice, it is a good bit different from any Zoom screen that you may have seen before, or if you have not used the iPad before. The controls are in the upper right. There are other things on this screen that I will go over. Note that the iPad and the iPhone, if you're using an iPhone, which I don't recommend because it's a pretty small screen size, but it has less, they both have less real estate or less screen size than the Mac or the PC. And this is primarily the reason for the different screen designs. As a user, you will be able to do anything that can be accomplished with the Mac or the PC. A word of caution for the iPad users. In the event you do not see meeting controls on your screen, which are in the upper right, you will need to go to the meeting controls. And the meeting control on the upper right, you see your meeting controls, and I have just made them a little bit larger in the white box, but it's the same thing as what you will see on the screen. You will go to More in the upper right of the screen and tap Meeting Settings. And there is a place where you can say Always Show Meeting Controls. That should be on. In most cases, it will probably be on and you won't have to do this part of the video. But I just want to point it out in case you do have a problem seeing your meeting controls. Look in the upper left of your screen now, and I have yellow arrows pointing to things in the upper left. You can switch between two views on the iPad, just as you can with anything else. And the one that the yellow arrow is pointing to says switch to gallery view. Well, I happen to like gallery view because I can see everybody that is attending the class, or maybe not everybody, but I'll explain that in a minute. You can see a lot. You can tap that to switch to gallery view. It says under it, switch to gallery view. The view that you sort of see right now is the speaker view. And if you are in gallery view, you will see the same circle on the left, but it will say switch to speaker view. This is up to you, whatever you like to do. The speaker view is the default view. This means you will always view the speaker. But as I said, sometimes you'd like to view your other classmates. If there are more than 9 people in gallery view, you will have the option to tap on your screen and to move it over to see the other people. So this again is something that I would recommend that you experiment with. Okay, so going back to the screen itself, you can mute or unmute yourself. Typically, when you come into the room, a lot of the instructors like to mute everyone. Should you have joined without audio, this is where you can also turn it on. Your teacher will describe how to work with the mute and unmute. But I typically like to start a class with the unmute because I think it's a lot more fun if you can see your classmates and maybe even speak with them. And then when the class starts, you will probably be muted by the instructor. You also have the option to start and stop video, which is the next icon to the right of the mute button. Again, we typically prefer that students are present for the class and interact with each other. So you would want to look your best, but it will be nice to have your video shown. The share content, which is next, is something that is a little more complex. I am sharing content now. This is a PowerPoint that I'm showing to you, which shows your screen, and I thought this would be the better way to do it. But you could also share content, but only if the instructor allows you to. He or she must have to set those controls. I recommend that you just ignore that for now. It gets a little more complex, and I'm going to move on to the next part of those icons. This is the same screen as you saw before, only I'm at the next place where you can tap on participants. And you will see the names of your class members. By tapping your name under participants, you can raise your hand. This is a little different from the PC or Mac application. You can raise your hand, you can mute yourself or unmute yourself here, and you can rename yourself. I recommend that every time you go on, you look at this and make sure that your name is as you would like your instructor or your classmates to know you. Sometimes if you're sharing this computer, it may have somebody else's name, but whatever you do, I would go on and I would place a name on there that will demonstrate how you particularly would like to be called. This is important to show the teacher and classmates, to introduce yourself to teachers and classmates. This also supports interactivity, and I think it's a part of success online because we are not in the classroom. We are not socializing before the class as much as we used to in the classroom. You will see at the bottom of those participant names or where you can raise your hand. That's probably the most important thing that you can do. There is an invite there that I recommend you just ignore. On the right, the three little dots is what I showed you. Just in case these icons weren't showing, you just move your cursor up and they show, and you can say more, and you can indicate that you want that you want your icons or to always be up there. Looking at the left, and this was at I think the lower right, if you were on a PC, you can leave. If you think that you have to leave the classroom for some reason, you can leave at any time, and you can also reconnect later. You can also, you can see the other icons, which you could say yes, no, go slower, go faster, thumbs up, thumbs down. So there are a lot of little things that you can do while you're in the classroom. Going on to more. More is, this is very different from any other screen that you'll probably get. It's really an iPad type of screen where you can chat. And if you say chat, another little screen comes up, and you can indicate who you want to chat with, whether it be a question for the instructor, or it could be a chat to another classmate. This is a place that most of your instructors may indicate what they prefer, but typically you could chat to, if there is an extra person or a TA in the classroom, you can chat and say, hey, I'm having some troubles, and you can even chat back and forth so that you're not all alone in this and questioning what's happening. You can indicate clapping, you can indicate thumbs up. And also the other thing that's here, which I don't recommend, you could indicate that you want to have a virtual background, and you have some settings there. Again, I would not even entertain that because they don't really work so well. And that is, I'm trying to think, there's the leave here. Oh, the Zoom at the top just indicates your address that you're on, etc. And that is another control that you don't need to use. I think everything else is, they're your controls, and you have a lot that you can do. You can switch back and forth from gallery view to the person who's speaking view. You can mute yourself. You can unmute yourself. You can even stop your video or start your video. And again, we recommend that you do everything that you fool around with the controls even before you get on the meeting. And the other thing, now that you have seen the controls on the iPad, I think it would be beneficial to go back and to even go through Louise's presentation, because she delves into some of these things more than I am. My objective is to show you where your controls are on the iPad, but I think it would be good to go back and to delve a little deeper into some of these settings. So I thank you all for coming. I wish you lots of good luck, and I hope to see you in an OLLI class.